Hello, amazing explorers. Today, we're going on a new adventure, not to a specific place, but to learn how to understand all sorts of places better. We're diving into the wonderful world of maps. We'll discover different types of maps, learn about something called map scale, uncover the secrets of map symbols, see how colors paint a picture on a map, and even learn a bit about how to find our way. By the end of this, you'll be a map whiz. Are you ready to explore? Hi, map explorers. Let's start with the very basics. What exactly is a map? Well, a map is a special kind of drawing that shows us the Earth, or even just a small part of it, on a flat surface like a piece of paper or a screen. Think of it like a picture of a place from above. Unlike a round globe, a map can give us lots of detailed information about a place. It can show us things like landforms, or mountains and rivers, where cities and towns are, how high the land is, and even where roads go. One of the great things about maps is that they are usually easy to fold up and carry around. If you have a whole book of maps, that's called an atlas. And the super talented person who designs and prepares a map is called a cartographer. They are like the artists and scientists of the map world. Here's a cool tidbit. You know how a book of maps is called an atlas? Well, some people think that name comes from a really strong giant in old Greek stories called Atlas. The story says he had to hold the entire sky on his shoulders. Maybe because maps help us understand the whole world, they named the book after him. All right, let's meet two superstar types of maps, physical maps and political maps. First, a physical map is all about showing the natural physical features of a place like a continent or a country. This means it will show you where the mountains are, if there are any hills, where the rivers flow, and the location of lakes. Physical maps often use different colors and special symbols to represent these features, like blue for water and brown for mountains. Then we have political maps. These maps show us how the world is organized by people. A political map shows things like national boundaries between countries, the different states or provinces within a country, and the locations of important cities and capital cities. So, if you want to see the shape of a country and where its major cities are, you'd look at a political map. Here's a super helpful map secret. The top of almost every map you see usually shows the north direction. Once you know which way is north, you can easily figure out south, which would be at the bottom, east to the right, and west to the left. It's like the map's built-in compass. Besides physical and political maps, there are other super interesting maps called thematic maps. A thematic map is like a special agent map. It focuses on one specific theme or topic for an area. For example, a road map is a thematic map that shows you all the roads and highways to help you travel. A climatic map shows information about the climate, like average temperature or rainfall in different areas. Tourist maps, like the ones you might get at a zoo, an amusement park, or a museum, are also thematic maps. They're designed to help you find your way around and see all the important sites. There are thematic maps for all sorts of things, like showing where different crops are grown, how much rain an area gets, or where most people live. They're very useful for understanding specific information about a place. Think about this. If you've ever used a map at an amusement park to find your favorite roller coaster or the snack bar, you've used a thematic map. Its theme is fun and attractions at the park. Now, imagine trying to draw your whole town on a piece of paper the actual size it is. It would be impossible. That's why maps have to represent a large area of land shrunk down to fit a page or a screen. To understand how much smaller the map is, we use something called a map scale. The scale of a map tells us the relationship between a distance on the map and the actual distance on the ground. For example, the scale might say 1 centimeter equals 100 kilometers. This means that if you measure 1 centimeter on the map between two places, the real distance between those places on the ground is 100 kilometers. So, if you measured 2 centimeters on that map, the actual distance would be 200 kilometers. Different maps use different scales. A map of your city might use a scale like 1 centimeter equals 1 kilometer, because it's showing a smaller area in more detail. But a map of the whole world would need a much different scale, maybe 1 centimeter equals 1,000 kilometers, to fit everything on the page. All maps that are drawn accurately have their scale written on them somewhere. Have you ever used GPS on a phone or in a car? GPS stands for Global Positioning System. It uses special signals from satellites way up in space to find out exactly where you are on Earth. Then, it can show your location on a digital map and even give you directions and tell you the distance to get from one place to another, kind of like using a map scale automatically. It's like having a super smart map and a compass all rolled into one tiny device. To make maps easier to read and understand, cartographers use special pictures or signs called symbols. Symbols are simple drawings that are used to represent different real-world things or features on a map. For example, a tiny airplane symbol might show where an airport is, or a little building with a flag, pupil, could mean a school. There are symbols for roads, railway tracks, rivers, mountains, hospitals, and so many other things. Now, how do you know what all these secret codes or symbols mean? That's where the legend or key comes in. A legend or key is usually a box in the corner of the map that explains what each symbol stands for. It's like a dictionary for the map. So, if you see a symbol you don't recognize, you just look at the legend and it will tell you what it is. This makes it much easier to find features on a map. Think of cartographers as super clever, secret code makers. They use all these different symbols to fit a huge amount of information onto a map in a way that's easy to see and understand. Without symbols, maps would be very messy and hard to read. When you look at a physical map, you'll often see lots of different colors. These colors aren't just there to make the map pretty, they actually tell us important information about the land and water. Different colors represent different physical features, and sometimes varying shades of those colors can show different heights or depths. For example, blue is almost always used to show water, like oceans, seas, rivers, and lakes. Often, darker shades of blue mean the water is deeper, while lighter shades of blue mean it's shallower. Green colors usually indicate lowlands or flat areas. Dark green might be for very low land, while light green could show hills or plateaus, which are higher up. Brown is typically used to represent mountains, and just like with blue, darker shades of brown often mean higher mountains, while lighter brown might be for lower mountains or hills. Sometimes you might even see purple used for the very highest mountain peaks. And just like with symbols, the map's legend or key will usually explain what each color stands for, so you always know what you're looking at. Isn't it cool that map makers often use the same color system, This is a kind of standard, so if you learn what the colors mean on one physical map, you can probably understand other physical maps from different places too. It's like a universal map language. Sometimes when you're looking at a map or trying to find your way, it's helpful to know which direction is which. An easy way to find directions is with a tool called a compass. A compass has a special needle that is magnetic. Because of the Earth's magnetic field, this needle only always points to the north. So, if you hold a compass flat, the needle will line up and show you where north is. Once you know which way is north, it's easy to figure out the other main directions. South will be opposite north, east will be to your right if you're facing north, and west will be to your left. Compasses are very handy tools for explorers and anyone needing to navigate. Guess what? You can actually make your own basic compass. If you carefully rub a sewing needle on a magnet many times in the same direction, the needle becomes magnetized. Then, if you place it on a small piece of cork floating in a bowl of water, the needle will slowly turn and point towards the north. How cool is that for a science experiment? Wow, map explorers, you've learned so much today and are now official map experts. Let's quickly remember the amazing things we discovered. We learned that maps are flat drawings of the Earth or parts of it. An atlas is a book of maps, and a cartographer is a map maker. We explored the main types of maps: physical maps that show landforms like mountains and rivers, political maps that show country borders and cities, and thematic maps that focus on specific topics like roads or weather. We figured out that map scale helps us understand how distances on a map relate to actual distances on the ground. We cracked the code of map symbols, which are simple drawings for real things, and learned that the legend or key tells us what all those symbols mean. We also saw how different colors are used on maps to show physical features and their heights or depths. And finally, we learned that a compass is a cool tool with a needle that always points north, helping us find our way. You now have the keys to unlock a lot of information from any map you see. Here's an incredible history fact. People have been making maps for a very long time. Some of the oldest maps ever found are more than 4,000 years old. They weren't on paper, but were drawn on clay tablets in an ancient place called Babylonia. Imagine that. Fantastic job today, everyone. You successfully navigated the world of maps and learned so many important skills. Remember, maps are powerful tools that can help us explore, understand, and appreciate the amazing planet we live on. Keep looking at maps, keep asking questions, and keep exploring. Well done, super cartographers.